Thank you, Mayor Bailey. Seconded by Member Brown. And now all those in favor, please. Carried. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? We need to do that now, please. Seeing none. Thank you. We'll move into our first delegation, and I believe we have the gentleman here with us already. We have a presentation from Philip, and I don't know if you're French, if it's Jean.
Jean, oui.
Je m'excuse.
No
Jean and Philippe, and they'll give us a presentation, and we'll see if there's some discussion and questions after that. So the floor is yours, gentlemen.
Thank you. Phil, lead us off.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate the audience this morning. I wanted to introduce Jean Soulière, the CEO of Bus Patrol, who has been a close ally of STSBHN. My name is Philip Cookett. I am the Manager of Transportation Services for STSBHN, which is the Shared Transportation Department for the 3 local school boards. Jean and I have been working closely together since 2015 when we were first introduced to Jean's technology. And it was a great example of public-private partnerships, one that we look to pursue. And with the recent changes in the Ontario regulations, we've actually been able to engage in far more fulsome and robust conversations since that point in time. The details of Jean's program, he's able to speak far more diligently and accurately to. And as such, I wanted to pass it over to Jean after this brief introduction. I believe that the group has been provided the slide deck that was presented earlier in the year, just to give the group some background on Jean's technology and effectively what we are looking to ideally accomplish in Brant County and the other districts that I service. Jean, on that note, are you able to take it over?
Yeah, I'll share the screen right now, folks. Let me know when you see it. There we go. Can everyone see the screen okay? Wonderful, thank you very much. So I'm Jean Soulière, I'm CEO and founder of Bus Patrol. We are the world's most deployed stop arm enforcement program, and it all started in Ontario with Phil and his team. Back in 2014 is when the idea showed up. I'm a technologist in transportation, and I was told people pass stop school buses, and I didn't believe it. And then I learned that they do it a lot. Our first equipment tests were in North Bay. And then we did the pilot in 2016, and Phil and his team in Brantford participated along with Waterloo and Peel Region, Sudbury and North Bay. We began operating our company in Montgomery County, Maryland in America in 2017. And today we are installed on more than 12,000 buses, and by September we'll be on 25,000 buses, making us by far the most deployed solution. We built a Canadian solution. So everything you're going to see here was like 5 years worth of work. I mean, I helped pass the legislation with the Attorney General Yasser Naqvi in 2017, worked diligently with Rick Nichols from the Ford government throughout that whole time. His private members bill is what started this whole thing, actually. And then the law got changed again in 2018 in a positive way, and the regs got pushed out in 2020. And now these programs are being launched across the province this September, and I'll walk into some details. Really, the concept that we built with Phil and the consortiums was this understanding that safety was about more than just a ticket. A ticket was a great tool to change behavior, but really safety is about planning your routes more efficiently and safely, training your drivers, training your children. So the whole program was designed to hit all of those marks and also cover 100% of the buses, regardless of whether that community is a rural or an urban or a suburban community. We don't believe that a postal code should determine a child's level of safety, which is really the core tenet of what we built together. Peel Region, Regional Council passed a motion mandating the deployment of this by September 1st, 2021, and they will be welcoming any jurisdiction that would like to opt in and participate in their program. So anyone would raise their hand, 100% of their buses would be covered. one thing that's very important to remember from a safety perspective is that even though 80% of the violations come from 20% of the buses, which happen to travel in the more urban or trafficked areas, the deaths, almost 100% of them occur in more rural roads where the speed of travel is much higher and survivability is a lot less. So now I'm gonna, and also just to highlight, these programs are thought through soup to nuts, from the networks they travel on, the public service announcements and the education programs that are used to launch and make citizens aware. It's very important to have all of those things and warning periods and all of those features provided, as well as the adjudication services and how we support the POA courts until AMPS is launched, which we expect to happen shortly. So we're going to walk through the tech really quickly. Ava is our AI engine, and she's the one that is managing 8 lanes of coverage in a variety of weather and light conditions to be able to automatically identify vehicles that illegally pass a stop school bus with plate capture technology, 4K and resolution. Here's Ava. You can see the top left, there's an amber light signal. When that legislation passes in Ontario, it'll be useful. And then the red light signal, the stop arms are deployed. And you can see Ava basically monitoring traffic. Now we have over 10 million hours of road hours that have trained her in being able to identify all of these potential violations. The process is very straightforward. All of the technology is automated. Ava identifies everything. She grabs the GPS coordinates and all the evidence required, and then puts that evidence package in front of a provincial offenses officer. And it's always the judgment of a provincial offenses officer that's used in order to issue the citation. Once the citation is issued, then the ticket is mailed to the offender, and they actually go online and they get to see their vehicle passing a stop school bus. And that's really powerful from a behavioral change perspective. When you have 100% of the fleet covered and the communities know that every school bus can give you a ticket if you pass it, we see it manifest in the data with a reduction of stop arm events of anywhere from 20 to 30% year over year. So we're really effectively being able to change the behavior that we're seeing. And that behavior looks like this. Here are some views of a car stopped and cars just passing. This is not accidental. This is not distraction. This is people choosing to ignore the law. And really that's what we're here to change. And what's very unique about the program that we're launching in Ontario is how available we're making the technology to communities like yours. Traditional automated enforcement technologies in Ontario have left behind some communities. The only ones who can afford to pay the operating expenses of technology are the big cities like Toronto and Mississauga and Ottawa, where regions like Niagara region, which is a pretty populated region, doesn't have a red light program because they don't want to spend the money. They don't have the budget. This reality of constrained resources is no more evident than it is in the school bus industry. And what we're here to do is change that. And that's why the concept of the program in this public-private partnership, Bus Patrol pays for 100% of the technology and deploys on 100% of the buses on 100% of the communities we serve. We have 19 buses in Mattawa. And we're doing that because we know that on the aggregate across the province, that these programs are sustainable and they generate the ticket revenue to keep them healthy. But we believe it's a social responsibility to make this technology available to every child in the province, leaving no child behind, leaving every bus covered, and changing the behavior of motorists in an effective, meaningful way. That's pretty much my presentation today, and wanted to open up the floor to any questions that you folks may have.
If I can just jump in there as well, Jean, before we get to the questions, just speaking to a bit of the local example. Historically, we've never had any external stop arm cameras. We have had a small array of internal camera systems, which have been very kind of person-driven in the data collection and data manipulation and viewing. Literally, it's been me running out there to the buses, pulling hard drives, running them over to a principal, plugging them into a decryption software, letting them view the software. We've never had access to technology that Jean and Bus Patrol have, where everything is automated, everything is secure, and everything is processed in a timely and orderly fashion. To date, with our pilot, so this is the second pilot we've run with Jean. One was back in 2016, where we had a total of 2 vehicles running, one in the city of Brantford, one in the county of Norfolk. We have since participated in the program. We now have 2 vehicles running in each of the counties, so 2 in Brant County, 2 in Brantford, 2 in Haldimand County, 2 in Norfolk County. Within those 8 units that have been operating since mid to late November, we've captured a total of 21 instances of individuals crossing the school bus's stop arm, one of which has led to a citation and actually the charging of the driver themselves out of Haldimand County, where the OPP detachment there was successful in tracking down not only the vehicle, the owner of the vehicle, but then subsequently through their logging systems, who was operating the vehicle itself. It was a heavy truck traveling along Highway 6 that blew through the school bus's stop arm at that particular point in time. So as Jean pointed out, the public-private partnership is an important detail for us, as again, we don't have the budget to equip 100% of our vehicles, and we strongly feel that all children on our vehicles should be afforded and provided the same level of safety, not those in where we can simply afford to put it. Usually about 10% of our fleet is what we were originally looking at equipping vehicles with. Are there any questions that we could help answer?
Any questions for Jean or Phil? Councillor Pierce?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Through you. Thanks, guys. This is unfortunate. I think we've all witnessed people going through these stops on buses, which is, I can't even think of the word, brutal is what comes to mind. But at any rate, a couple questions for you. As far as the school boards in the different areas, what's their thoughts on this? Are they how much are they on board? Are they with this? What's their saying on this?
Well, I can talk to my experience. This program, this whole entire technology was built with the consortiums and school boards at the table. I mean, it was really through them that the company was built and doing so well in America now. So it's ironic, but we have tremendous support. What these partnerships need is, one is the school consortium needs need to be covered, and the school boards opt in. Then we need the partnership with the municipalities, because they're the ones that use their authority to enforce the Highway Traffic Act. And it's their POA courts currently that are being used to adjudicate these violations, or these contestations. So it really is a partnership between the consortium and school boards, the municipalities, and Bus Patrol to make sure that we have a robust program that works for the community.
Okay, and if I could, Madam Chair, the second part of that is the fact of, what about the bus companies themselves? Because I know we have probably 3 or 4 different bus companies that take our students within the county. Have they seen this? Are they on board with this? They're good with you in putting this on all their vehicles?
Yeah, they actually have to put technology on their vehicles in support of the programs that they have, and they pay for those. So in this model, they actually enjoy a savings, because Bus Patrol comes in and modernizes their entire school bus fleet with cloud connected AI technology. So all of the other features, like the internal cameras, the GPS, the turn-by-turn navigation, all those things that they couldn't afford traditionally, now they get. So that is a huge motivator, and why the consortium, the operators, and the school districts are so excited about this.
Okay, that's great. And one final one, if I could, Madam Chair, through you. And page, I'm not sure what page of your presentation it was, but it talked about the processing center and the ticketing and the fines and stuff like that. Now, I'm not sure, how does it work with the fines? Like, obviously, to the example you used there, they were actually able to track it down to the driver of the vehicle, but it could be anybody driving a vehicle. So I assume it's to the registered owner of the vehicle that the ticket would go to. Now, how does that work? Let's say for a second infraction, a third infraction, do the fines increase, or is it the same fine each time?
Yeah, so I'll talk about kind of the flow of funds really quickly, and then so the fine is it's $400 plus a $90 victim surcharge fee, so it's $490. It doesn't escalate over time. It
Okay.
is really the provincially set minimum. Now, the way it works is every ticket gets issued based on its location by the jurisdiction that has authority over those roads. So, and the fines get paid by offenders and then collected by those municipalities in their general coffers. So Bus Patrol's platform is used to build the evidence and support the transactions. The money flows back to the municipality. Bus Patrol invoices those individual municipalities for its services, but the payment of those invoices is limited to collected ticket revenue. So if there is no revenue, there is no obligation to pay the invoice, which is the secret sauce of making this possible. Right? Because now every municipality can opt in without having the fear of loss, of financial loss. And every aspect of the program, if there's an expense made by a municipality in support of the program, that expense is reimbursed to the municipality by Bus Patrol and then paid to Bus Patrol through collected ticket revenue through its invoicing. So we've made it so that there's no financial moat anymore. There's no limitation. Now it's just a question of, hey, do I want to have this technology protecting 100% of my buses? And Bus Patrol knows that as we expand throughout the province and with our kind of some anchor clients, that these programs are going to be really great for everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, I think we should bring this one up to our safe streets. Thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for your attention.
Maybe a question. Oh, go ahead, Councillor. I almost promoted you. Member Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Sergeant Hampson.
Yeah.
Has OPP had any exposure to this, or have you had time to have a look at it?
Good morning. This is the first I've been aware of. It was reviewing the package prior to the meeting. It looks like a very interesting concept going forward, and I wonder about the use of the data for other non-traffic related investigations, if that would be a benefit to us as well.
So I can answer that. So the data is owned by the authorities issuing the ticket, and it's used exclusively for the enforcement of the Highway Traffic Act. However, through subpoenas or other processes that you currently enjoy the benefit from, these pieces of video and evidence have been used in order to solve crimes. And also actually in Brantford, here's an interesting case. There was in Brantford during our pilot in 2016, there was a child that had accused the bus driver of manhandling them. And child services were called, police were called. And what we discovered when we pulled the internal video was that the child was standing in the aisle and the bus came to a sudden stop. And the bus driver actually prevented that child from being injured. So it's another use of whereas if it was just, the bus driver's word versus the child's word, it becomes a very difficult, delicate situation. So these technologies, as you've pointed out, sir, are absolutely effective at driving additional value and benefit to the community.
Thank you.
That was going to be my question as well, in terms of like how the OPP would be able to use the data and pursue, the enforcement side of it. And I think, well, there's probably some more work to be done on if this moves forward, but it sounds promising that the OPP would be able to use that in Brant County then.
To date, the OPP in Haldimand County, we've been liaising with them where we've just been sharing the individual files on a kind of person-driven basis, whereby a request from a driver says, comes out saying, Phil, I've had someone run my stop arm again. I wait the 1 day's time for the video to be processed, pushed up to the cloud. I then grab that file, share it with the officer who's investigating the event itself, and then they can pursue it further from there.
Yeah, I think I'm sure most of us have been witness to somebody running the stoplights on a school bus, unfortunately. And, all of us have kids or grandkids or nieces, nephews, whatever. So keeping our kids safe in the county is top priority for, I think, all of us. I'm not sure as you know, we don't get to make decisions of these types of operational nature here at the Police Services Board. However, Councillor Pierce and Mayor Bailey, like, I guess there could be some kind of communication from the Police Services Board about the program, and potential support for the program, or encouraging support for the program. I guess it's up to the council and whatnot to decide should it be adopted. Is that correct, Mayor Bailey?
Yeah, that's how we would work it. We would ask for a report brought forward by the Police Services Board to council. I mean, this is one of those programs that's a no-brainer. I mean, it supplies all kinds of information. And the issue of passing a school bus when the flags are up and the sign is up and everything it's just like it's the same sort of irritation to people as throwing a McDonald's bag out the window. It's one of those things that sparks rage and road rage, and all kinds of bad days are started with that kind of an image in your mind. So I mean, it's something that we would always support, I think, as a council, but it needs to be brought forward as something that we would support. I can't imagine that we wouldn't, Councillor Pierce, but it needs to be brought forward to us.
Yeah.
Councillor Pierce?
Thanks, Madam Chair, through you. Yeah, as part of my liaison with the Police Services Board, I can bring that back to council, and whether I don't know whether I can get Jean or Phil's information and potentially have them do the same type of demonstration for council. But if the package that we got in the Police Services Board, I don't think there would be any issue with me getting that through to council. And I agree with the mayor. It's one of those things that with our safe streets, with our branch safe streets, this is something I feel that would fit in quite nicely with that. And if we think about the number of students we have in Brant that are bused, we're talking upwards of especially in the high school, upwards of 50% anyway are bused to the school. So that's it's something that everybody is familiar with here. So I would agree. I would like to see this in front of council.
Go ahead, Mayor Bailey, and then I'll jump in after.
Is it a one-time cost? Are these units paid for, or do they need to be maintained, or do they break? How does that work?
Yeah, so it for the life of the program, the units are maintained, installed, replaced, managed by Bus Patrol. Yeah. So it's an entire program. Even the public service announcements that are designed are produced by Bus Patrol and made and customized for each community we serve. And it's for a 5-year contract that's renewable as well. So there's never anything you folks have to do. Bus Patrol really is a turnkey solution, working with Phil and his transportation team and his operators to keep the systems healthy, while we're working with the provincial offense officers and the processing center to make sure that they have the data they need to do their job as well.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I was just going to add on to Councillor Pierce. From what I can hear, this is a win-win-win-win situation. I mean, there's probably other details to be discussed, but I guess I would like to gauge the reception of the Police Service Board members to have, as Mayor Bailey suggested, some kind of a written recommendation that Councillor Pierce can take with him to council, along with the slide deck and the other materials. Potentially have Jean and Phil join you, what have you, but have some kind of a written support from Police Service Board for the program adoption. How does everybody feel about that?
It's wonderful. We appreciate the support.
Go ahead, Councillor Pierce.
Thanks, Madam Chair, through you. Yeah, and obviously I'm in full support of it from Police Services Board and from Council. But what I would suggest is, like the package that we have in here, and Sean, like you said there, it's a 5-year contract. Just with, if we could get a few more of those details, because I know that council is going to ask with that 5-year contract. Is it per unit, or is it a blanket price? If we could, we can get into all that, but I'm sure that council will want to know those up front, obviously.
Absolutely. It's a standard program across the province we've designed, and I'm happy to share all the details with you, Councillor Pierce, at your convenience.
Fantastic.
Nancy, can you please let me know, do we need to have a motion to put together a letter of support, or?
You don't have to, but it would be good if you had a motion to do that. Sure.
Anybody prepared to make a motion on that then? Councillor Pierce?
Yeah, I would absolutely make the motion that that we send a letter of recognition from the Police Services Board in support of this project to council for their consideration, and that we have whether it's John or Phil or whomever come in and give council their demonstration with the details.
Great. Seconder for that, Member Brown. Thank you. Did you want to speak to? Yep.
On timing on this issue, how long would it take if council were to say that is something that they're interested in? How long would it take you to outfit the buses?
We've got in Phil's group, I believe it's something like 450 buses across all the municipalities that he serves. So we are expecting to have the program base contract done before the end of April. And even if it takes a little longer, we'll be implementing over the summer. So by September 1st, 100% of your buses would be equipped. So as long as you guys raise your hand before kind of the end of May, then I think we're good to have you started for the next school year.
So Madam Chair, I do think that it's important that if we're going to do this, that we do it in a timely manner so that we're not the reason why something like this gets slowed up. It sounds like a great program that we can all benefit from.
So we have the motion from Councillor Pierce, seconded by Member Brown, that PSB send a letter of support for the program to council for their consideration. John will then also advocate for that at council in his position. Any other discussion on that motion? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Through you, just to add on to what Member Jim was saying there, if we could get that letter before Thursday, we could get it on our package for next week's council.
Okay, Nancy
and I'd be more than happy to do that. And then Jean and Phil, I'm not sure. Maybe we could talk offline or whatever, just to get a little bit more information, and we can go from there.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Anytime.
That's thanks, John, Councillor Pierce, for letting us know about the timelines. That's important. So Nancy and I will punch something out for that so we can meet the timelines for council package.
Yeah. Now, Nancy, do you have, sorry, Madam Chair, Nancy, do you have contact information for these gentlemen?
I do, and I can forward that to you.
Yeah, thank you. And then I'll reach out to you guys.
Okay, so
thank you, everyone.
Before we close off, we just have to call the question here. So all those in favor of the motion, please. Okay, thank you, carried. So Jean-Phil, you can see that County of Brant Police Services Board is in support of your program. And we appreciate you guys coming in today to talk to us about keeping our kids safe. And with Councillor Pierce's advocacy, hopefully you'll be able to partner with council to hopefully get that in place.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the time, everyone. Have a wonderful day and please be safe.
Thank you for joining us.
Amazing. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you, everybody. That was a good presentation. Nancy, is Troy joining us by phone? Is this the phone number here that's?
Yes, Troy is online now.
Okay, so welcome, Troy. I'm not sure if you can hear us or if you're.
Yeah, I can hear you all fine. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So you're here to give us an update today on the Brant Towing Group and the work that you guys have been doing. I'll just maybe turn the floor over to you from there, and then we can open it up for some questions.
Okay, so on the weekend, we held an election to elect our board members. So we held the election. Our new board members were elected in. I was elected as president for the group. Votes were anonymous for me. And then our new vice president is Matt Granby from Copers, and our new treasurer is Dale Cogger from Jameson. So we've got a new board in place now. We've agreed we're going to be having meetings every 3 months on the third Wednesday of that third month, and our board is going to stay in place for 2 years, and then we'll have a new election every 2 years. Hello?
Yes, sorry, we're all listening. We weren't sure if you had anything else you wanted to add.
Yeah, no, I didn't know, because it's weird. I don't hear nothing, but yeah, that's all. That's all I can. That's basically what we've, as far as we've come, is a new board at the request of you. The police board and stuff. That's what we've done. So a new board's been elected. Unfortunately, I don't know if Ed has passed any information to Adam by email or to Jim. Jim had requested, remember Jim there had requested some information. I know Ed, he'd been in the hospital for the last month and a bit and was just out, not doing real well at all. He never made the meeting. I have been unable to get a hold of him. I made contact with him on the last Friday, and it wasn't a very good conversation, to say the least, as far as for his health and everything. So I've got to try to track Ed down if he hasn't sent anything forward, and try to get this information and tie up all the loose ends of the paperwork, because as it is right now, Ed has everything.
So congratulations, Troy, on your elections and for you being elected president. I know that's a lot for you to take over right now, especially with Ed's uncertain health, for sure. It sounds like some progress has been made, which is encouraging for sure. I think I speak on behalf of the Police Service Board to say that we are encouraged to see this work being done, Troy. I know Councillor Pierce had his hand up. I know you can't see him the same way we can, so I'm just going to let him ask his question as well.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Through you to Troy. Yeah, first of all, thank you for getting this done. It's been something we've requested, and I know you guys have been working hard to try and do it. So I'm glad it's finally done. A couple questions I have. Number one, so it appears you've got President, Vice President, and Treasurer again. I know we had spoken about the potential of expanding the executive. Was there discussion on that? I'm curious as to how many were at the meeting for the elections.
Well, everyone was at the elections other than Ed, so there was 9 of us in total. And there's, as far as adding an extra member on the board, with only 9 of us, we don't think that it's that great of an idea, because if we put another one on, then we're at 4, which we could end up deadlocked in a vote on the board, which then if we go to 5, so we can, numbers would dictate to, we wouldn't be stuck in a deadlock vote. Then that's like 5 of our like half of our membership would be on the board. I just don't think more numbers on the board is better for us in the long run. It just, to me, it doesn't, we couldn't go with 4, because we'd end up in a deadlock vote, which we don't want. And then if we go to 5, like I said, that's half of our membership. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to myself and most of the guys on our board.
Okay, well, we'll play that one by ear to see how it unfolds. The members, I know with Ed's health, he's not well, but with Cope, is Cope going to stick around to assist in the transition? Part B of that, you were saying meetings every 3 months. Was there discussion of potentially off the hop to have a couple meetings to review and potentially get the financials and stuff that we've been discussing in the last months all together to get that finalized as well?
Yeah, yes. Dale and I are gonna work on that. The man for the job, Dale, as treasurer, he's as far as I'm concerned, he's the man for the job because he's good with the paperwork, and I'm looking forward to have him taking over that end of the paperwork and our banking side and everything. But yeah, we're gonna get I'm gonna have to go do a door knock at Ed's place, unfortunately, just to see if I can get an answer at the door and try working from there to get this paperwork and the banking info and stuff, and work on the changeover as well. Cope is going to stay around and help with the transitioning and that, because as he knows the lawyer that was used for the corporation and that stuff, because we're going to have to attend the lawyers and have all the board members changed in the corporation on the paperwork as well.
Right. Okay, well, I appreciate the effort so far, and let's continue. Thank you.
Member Brown?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Just like to pass on my congratulations to Troy. I know it's been a lot of hard work for you and frustrating. We look forward to future cooperation and some more input from you. Madam Chair, quick question. At this point, we're not going to we deal with the delegation and then do we move on to motions concerning this?
We don't have it anywhere else on the agenda, so we can finish the discussion and then just decide what we want to do here moving forward. I'm assuming you're talking about decisions that Police Service Board needs to make?
Yes, I am, because this contract extends or
expires.
It expires on March 31st, so that we need to do something with it. I've had quite a few conversations with Troy and a lot with Adam over the last month, so I have a motion that I'd like to put forward when the time's appropriate.
Okay. Mayor Bailey, did you have your hand up as well?
I did. I'd like to first of all thank Troy for stepping up too. And I also would like to suggest maybe that you include Secretary Treasurer in the title of your third person, just so that it shows that someone is responsible for taking records and writing down things that in the future might become important. So instead of just referring to them as the treasurer, perhaps the title could always read Secretary Treasurer. If he's the one going to be taking your notes anyway, I think it would look better if things had to go any further than the Police Services Board. So just a suggestion, and congratulations, Troy. Thank you for stepping up.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. No problem.
So Troy, quick question for you then. I mean, we don't need to debate the merits of the agreement between Police Service Board and the Brant Towing Group. I mean, we've done that many times. I guess what I'm looking to hear from you today, to Member Brown's point, the current agreement we have was an extension to get us to get you the time that you needed to get some things done. So it does expire March 31st. Does the Brant Towing Group, are you looking to extend it, like to renew it and extend it? Like where are you guys coming from?
Yeah, no, we're looking to have it extended and renewed and go forward from there. All the guys are working together and looking forward to having it renewed and extended.
Thanks, Troy. Is there any other question? I mean, Troy, I know you got a lot on your plate here trying to transition things, and certainly appreciate, like Mayor Bailey said, that you stepped up to the plate and to take the leadership position here and to try and tidy some things up. And we do wish Ed well, and we understand the circumstances, but we still need to keep our side of the agreement up to date. I guess moving forward, I would want to make sure that we we may not be able to do much about the past, that remains to be seen, but moving forward, our expectation would be that those reports and that information is going to be current and up to date, you know, on an annual basis as is required by the contract. And I just want to make sure that, you know, as Mayor Bailey said, that you guys have the capacity to ensure that that gets done. We don't want to be in this situation again where we're trying to play catch up.
No, I don't want to be in that situation again either. And if it was you know, if I had more say in the matter in the previous years behind us, that we wouldn't be in this situation. And it's going to change, and it's not going to happen again.
Any other questions for Troy before we get into some discussions and decision making about next steps? Seeing none. Troy, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you're a busy guy, and we do appreciate you coming in and giving us this encouraging update. And whether it's myself or Jim's been kind of the point person on this for the Police Service Board. We'll be in touch with the outcome of our decisions and discussions.
Okay, sounds good. I appreciate that.
Great. Have a great day, Troy.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Okay, so Member Brown, did you have something else that you wanted to add then to that discussion?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. I've been talking with Troy and with Adam quite a bit over the last several months. Adam has put a lot of hard work into this. We currently have a 10-page contract that has somewhat met the needs of the community, and I think it's benefited the community over the long haul. We're not experiencing a lot of the issues that many municipalities have. Apparently there are only 18 out of 444 municipalities who have addressed regulations for tow truck driving. So I guess we're one of those 18. Adam and I have looked at the contract, and there are many clauses in there that are redundant, that are covered by other acts of legislation. And Adam provided me with just a really quick slash and burn through it, which would see the contract reduced to probably about 5 pages, just to simplify and clarify it. What I think needs to be done in the very near future, so that we don't lose the momentum, is that there needs to be a meeting with the Brantford Towing Group executive, our board members, whoever wants to attend, and Adam, to have a look at the contract as it exists, to see if there's anything that we have in that we don't need, that's make work as opposed to serving a useful purpose. And I think that should be done in the next month, and then that we should bring that back to the board to have a look at it next month, and then that would give 2 months time frame to deal with it before we would have to deal with an extension, if an extension were to be provided for a 3-month period. So what I'm proposing is that the contract be extended for 3 months on the following terms: that the Brantford Towing Group meet with Adam and a Police Service Board member within the next month, that we review and update the contract, and that we bring a revised contract back to the Police Services Board meeting, the next Police Services Board meeting, for their information. That we also receive any of the documentation that they have on hand that they're able to give us within that time frame, and then we move forward.
So are you, so Jim, that sounds a little bit like a motion. So a motion to extend the contract 3 months, as well as to revise the current contract in time for that within that 3-month period, in order to be able to update it and revise it, as well as work with the Brant Towing Group to bring them up to date. I mean, I'm paraphrasing completely, but is that the gist of your motion?
Yeah, that's the motion.
Is there a seconder for that? Mayor Bailey, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Pierce?
You guys can hear me? I'm just figuring out this new headset because the mute button's back here. So anyway, I appreciate what they've done to this point as a towing group. They're trying, and I think we can finally see that, because to be quite honest, I haven't seen it to this point. It's been a lot of talk. They have had the election, so I will give them the benefit of the doubt there. They're actually trying something. To Member Brown, I appreciate your motion here and what we're trying to do with this. It's just that, you know, we've extended it and extended it and extended it and extended it. What I would like to see here, because personally, I think as much as I like your timelines, I don't think we're going to be able to hit your timelines, because we're not going to be able to get that meeting with them, and we're not going to get the information back. So all I'm going to suggest here is I'm in favor of the extension, but rather than to continue to extend it, and we may not need this time, but I would rather extend it a 6-month period to ensure that we've got everything done. So it's the last time we have to extend it. We don't have to worry about it anymore. That'll give ample time for them to meet with us, have a couple of their own meetings. So everything is perfectly straight for them going forward. And within that 6 months, that we also stipulate that we need something back from them, whether it's the 3-month point or whatever. So again, I'm in favor of extending it, but I don't feel that we're going to be able to meet the 3-month timeline. I would like to see it extended to a 6-month timeline, which I think quick math would take us to end of August-ish timeframe. And that would allow everything to be completed, the contract to be rewritten if that's what needs to be done, and for the police, for the tow group to come back to us with something else in that time span to show us that these elections weren't just a one-time, hey, we're going to get this done and things are going to go back to as they were. That's my thoughts.
Member Brown?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Member Pierce, I have no problem with extending it 6 months. I just wanted to capitalize on the fact that we've got the ball moving.
Mm-hmm.
I have talked with Adam over the last several days, and I have a copy of what he has condensed already at this point. So I do think that in a matter of 1, maybe 2 meetings, we should be able to hone in on what we want in the contract. And then I want to get it back before the members so that they have a reasonable time frame or a considerable time frame to look at it and say, well, I don't like this, I don't like that, or do we need to have it looked at by a lawyer, or whatever else needs to be addressed. I would just like to have that back to us by the next meeting. I don't see any reason why we can't do at least that portion of it. If we want to give it a 6-month timeline, I'm good with that, because that's the maximum. It doesn't mean we can't do it quicker.
Right. Just if I can respond to that, Madam Chair, again, and maybe we can, but history, unfortunately, I know it's a new executive in there and stuff, but unfortunately, history has shown that there is not a lot of action, and I'll leave it at that. I'm in favor of whatever majority goes here, but I don't want to see us 3 months down the road having to extend it again because we haven't got the information we need.
I would agree with you, Councillor Pierce. I know everybody's patience is pretty thin with extensions and with the contract and with everything, for sure. And I wouldn't want to see us have to keep talking about this over and over. Like, you know, this doesn't need to be a reoccurring agenda item in that regards either. So I think Jim is trying to facilitate that transition as well with the new group, and it's incumbent upon the new group to, I guess, figuratively put their money where their mouth is, and, you know, and walk the talk and be able to do that. So, you know, giving them that opportunity, and then it's really up to them to come forward with some proposals, some ideas, some suggestions. They're going to deal with the data. You know, it's not up to us to keep holding that hand. There has to be some accountability. So I think Jim's been trying to champion that transition. It comes at an unfortunate time when somebody else is not well, but we have to move past that, unfortunately, for Troy's sake, and be able to get this finished and up to date. Is there any other, sorry, yes, Mayor Bailey?
Oh, I see the 6 months as a friendly amendment to the motion, so I can leave my support as a seconder on the 6 months if Councillor, or if member I promoted you to.
Yeah.
If member Brown sees that as a friendly amendment, I can still support it.
Madam Chair, I absolutely see that as a friendly amendment.
Great. So we have any other discussion then before we call the question? Okay. So all those in favor of the amended motion? Great, that's carried. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jim, for stick handling that for us. I'd be happy to help you attend that meeting with Troy and the new executive if you'd like.
Awesome. Through you to Adam Crozier. Adam, is there anything that you would like to let the board know at this time? Is there anything else that you can add to this?
Oh, hi everyone.
Good morning.
No, I think it's a prudent move. I see some good progress. I think Troy can come in and effectively move this group forward. I think the only thing I would note too is that the provincial task force that's been investigating the criminality in the towing industry, largely in the GTA, has released some recommendations. And I think a lot of the relationship past, the immediacy between the board and the tow group will hinge on ultimately what the province does on these recommendations. They're looking at provincial oversight, provincial regulation. So at the end of the day, this is a good move to keep sort of a good status quo. I think, as Member Brown said, we don't seem to see largely the same incidents that they do in the GTA. So I think this is something that's prudent, that provides a little bit of community benefit and value. And we'll just take things as they come from the province, as municipalities and police services board tend to do. And the last time that we waited for regulations from the province, we were talking about it in 2009-10, and it wasn't until 2014, and a lot of stuff wasn't largely implemented until 2017. So, it'll take some time, but I think it's the right step and a good way to move forward.
Thanks, Adam. I will be in touch with you after the meeting, and we'll see what we can do about setting up.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think proceeding with these timelines is effective, but I also think that providing 6 months to avoid continuing to talk about this every board meeting is also incredibly prudent.
You'll help Nancy or whoever facilitate the extension?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Perfect.
Great. Well, that's good. Thank you, Adam. And thanks, Jim, for your work on this file as well. Okay. If there's nothing else on that topic, let's get into item number 5 on our agenda, please. So the minutes from our previous meeting from February 16th. Everybody had them in their packages. I'm not sure if there's any errors or omissions, comments. But if there isn't any, I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Councillor Pierce and seconded by Mayor Bailey. Everybody in favor of that motion? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Any business arising from the minutes that anybody would like to discuss? Councillor Pierce?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Through you. I know the inspector's not here, so we might just put Mr. Hampson on the hot seat here. On page, I guess it's page 3 of the minutes, end of page 2, top of page 3, when it talked that as far as contract enhancements, I know the inspector was going to bring them to this meeting. I'm not sure if she's passed anything on to you to bring on her behalf, or whether that'll have to wait till next meeting. I'm not sure.
Good morning. That one will be deferred to the next meeting, and Inspector Anderson will hopefully be able to do the presentation on it going forward at that time.
Okay, thank you.
I know that she had intended, Councillor Pierce, for it to be this board meeting, but I guess with her absence, it got deferred to the next meeting, so.
Yep.
Anything else that anybody would like to raise? Any business arising from the minutes? Okay, seeing none. Now we really get to put Sergeant Hanson on the hot seat. It's we'll go through the detachment commander's report, and we'll turn it over to you, Sergeant Hampson.
Good morning. I'll start off with sending Inspector Anderson's regrets for not being able to attend the meeting today, and I'll do my best at getting through this on her behalf. So we'll start with some human resources updates. I'd like to advise that we now have Chief Superintendent Dwight Tibb as our West Regional Commander. He started on March 8th and fills the vacancy left by the retirement of Chief Superintendent John Kane. We've had 2 Brant members who are successful in competitions, and they'll be moving on to specialty units in the near future elsewhere in the OPP. So this will leave us with 2 vacancies at the detachment level at this point going forward. One has left and the other one will be leaving within the next couple of months. We have established our new community safety and well-being team, which consists of our community safety and media officer, a youth and school officer, and our community mobilization officer. Their biographies are found in the following pages of the report. And I'm sure all of you have met them at some point in your travels. They're all quite well-known officers who have been with us for a number of years. And we anticipate they will do an excellent job, and their focus will be on working on a number of the priorities that we have in our current action plan. Moving on to the public complaints, we have received 1 complaint from the Office of the Independent Police Review Directorate in regards to an incident from 2020. That is all I have to report on that one. Moving on to our focus patrols, we currently have the 4 ongoing focus patrols for the month, and they're based on collision-related data supplied to us by our analyst. The locations we're focusing on are Highway 24 north and south, Cockshut Road, Highway 403, and Colburn Street East. We'll be focusing on the big 4 of traffic, which is aggressive driving, impaired driving, occupant restraint systems, and distracted driving. These locations we're making public as part of the awareness and the media piece component, as opposed to the strategic ride program initiatives that we're starting now, which are based on, again, hotspots provided to us by our analyst. These locations will not be made public for obvious enforcement reasons and the intent of the ride programs. Moving on to our noteworthy items, a slight change to the written report that you have before you, in that as of yesterday, we're granted permission to unlock the front doors of the detachment. They will remain open during our business hours of 8:30 until 4:30 p.m. And they will remain in that condition based on the color coding of the COVID reopening. So provided we don't move into the gray in the lockdown area, our doors will remain open. However, we still will have limited occupancy within the lobby, and we ask members of the public to call ahead and make an appointment before attending. Well, we've expanded our criminal record check process to include all applicants now. Again, appointments are required, and we recommend the public call ahead to make arrangements. The detachment command continues to be involved in both the county and joint emergency operations centers in relation to the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've responded to 275 occurrences related to the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act, as well as the Reopening of Ontario Act and the Quarantine Act. 11 of these responses were in February, and we remain engaged with the county bylaw and Brant County Health Unit members in our joint enforcement team and the responses to these calls. Positive ticketing at the high school continues to occur during the school lunch hour period and is done in conjunction with members of county bylaw. An update on our vaccination. Approximately half of our staff were eligible to receive the first round of the COVID vaccination within phase 1 of the provincial distribution plan. This consisted only of officers who are trained and are expected to provide medical assistance on a routine basis. And the remainder of our staff, we hope to have vaccinated in phase 2 as essential frontline workers. Moving forward to the noteworthy investigative items, you can see that there's a number of items that are quite noteworthy, and the continued effort of our frontline members and their proactive enforcement that they're doing on our area roadways and removing aggressive, dangerous, and impaired drivers. As well as you can see one particular incident near the end of February, where one of our platoon supervisors, as well as an off-duty officer from a municipal police agency, came across the car accident where the driver was without vital signs. They performed CPR. They recognized that it was possibly in relation to an opioid overdose, and they administered naloxone. The male driver was revived. He was taken to the hospital, and he was released several hours later in good condition. He is facing a number of charges as a result of that incident. But that's just one example of the hard work and the quick thinking that our guys and girls are doing out there on the front line. In the trends and actions, we can see that the violent crime has stabilized in February and is back on track with a 12% to date reduction compared to 2020, and is down 27% compared to 2019's numbers. Property crime is also on a decrease with the exception of mischiefs, which rose 80% with 9 incidents in February compared to 5 in February of 2020. Our January increase in thefts over 5,000 have tapered off in February as a result of a number of charges laid following an arrest due to a string of trailer-related thefts. Our break and enters are down 42% compared to this time last year, as well as we're seeing a sharp decrease in vehicle thefts, down 70% compared to February of 2020. And it's also notable that we have a year-to-date reduction in stolen vehicles of 50%, a 29% reduction in recovered stolen vehicles, and thefts from vehicles are also down 13%. Property damage motor vehicle collisions are down 29%, and we're seeing an increase in personal injury collisions of 31%. We have a year-to-date reduction in overall collisions of 19%, and we did not have any fatal collisions during the month of February. We've observed an 11% increase in level 1 mental health calls for service in February, but our incident rates remain unchanged when compared to February of 2020. Year to date, we have a 50% increase in level 1 incidents, which is consistent when compared to 2019 numbers. Our overall assaults are down 62% in February, but our domestic related incidents have increased 42% in February, with the majority of them being verbal only and not criminal in nature. You will find the year-end charge report attached to the document, which shows that we have a total of a little over 4,100 total charges in the county. 2,580 of them are Highway Traffic Act related, almost 1,100 criminal code, and the remainder of them are falling into the other category, which generally consists of trespassing, vehicle insurance, Liquor License Act, Cannabis Act charges. Of the 1,623 total Highway Traffic Act charges that were laid in relation to the big 4 that I spoke of earlier, just under 1,500 of them were for speeding, which is a 3% increase compared to 2019. Our 911 response incidents have decreased 70% compared to 2019 due to the efficiency project. Our patrol hours for the county are at 767 cruiser patrol hours and 41 foot patrol hours. Our foot patrol hours are down 45% year to date, and our zone patrol hours were down 12% in February and 13% year to date. These numbers should start increasing as our recruits have arrived and will start patrolling on their own in the near future. We currently have 3 vacancies, which will be filled in late April, early May, with the arrival of 3 new recruits that are currently going through the academy at the moment. And between now and July, we anticipate 6 additional vacancies at the detachment. This concludes my report for February. We'll open the floor for any questions.
Before Councillor Pierce gets in there, just quick question about you talked about the year-to-date totals of the big 4 on page 51 of our package, and so speeding, if I'm reading this correctly, 2019 to 2020, because this is the December report, speeding charges were up 3.4%, but then seatbelt, impaired, and distracted were all down decrease from 2019. And I guess I'm just trying to rationalize in my head the reports that we were given throughout 2020 in terms of, you know, everything's on the front line, everything, you know, there's been a lot of stunt driving, a lot of speeding charges, a lot of different things happening, but then the numbers don't correlate with that. And is it somewhere else? Or I guess I expected to see all positive numbers given the push to everything being frontline in the past year. So I just wasn't sure if I was misunderstanding that.
What we're seeing is more of a trend in more serious Highway Traffic Act violations, in that with the increase in the stunt driving versus with the excessive speeds versus someone speeding 20 or 30 kilometers over. So that's where we're seeing the time spent, because those stunt driving ones are the ones that take the officer several hours to complete on the side of the road due to the vehicle impoundment, the license suspension, the additional court documents that are required versus the regular speeding ticket. So where you are seeing more things being reported in the noteworthy incidents, that's where we're seeing those increases, but the overall total charges remain relatively the same for the Highway Traffic Act, with that 3.4% increase compared to 2019 to 2020.
Okay. I'll leave that for now. I know we'll probably come back to different discussion points. So Councillor Pierce, I know you have questions. I count on it. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Through you, couple things. First of all, a few comments on the new recruits there for the school resource officers and the other ones. Congratulations to them for that. Couple things I want to pull out of their biographies here, that if you're thinking of you know, police force or any front line, these are like I say, these are just a couple lines that I pulled out of each of them, and I think it's great. For Sylvie, one of the comments she made is, I'm looking forward to building respectful relationships and gaining trust within community with all stakeholders. That's a huge statement, and that is something that, you know, it goes without saying, but it's appreciated the fact that she is saying that and wants to do that. So that is a great statement there. With Michelle, she states that the collaboration efforts between police officers, communities, agencies, and the remainder of the community. Again, it's a collaboration. They're looking to do this as a team with the community, which is huge. And then you get into Conrad, and he talks about that he's going to he spoke of the Brant Safe Streets, and it's going to be followed up with feedback and messaging. That to me is looking for a partnership with the police force and the community. So again, I just want to say congratulations to them and thank them for saying, not just saying stuff like that, but I feel quite confident to say that they're going to walk the talk as well. That's not just words, they're actually going to do that. And that is huge from a community point of view. So again, I just wanted to just point out some positive things in those bios and say thanks and congratulations to them. Now we'll get into some nitty gritty here. Want to start, you know, you started off with a rose and you end with a rose, right? As far as the staffing levels, I appreciate the fact that, you know, there's movement within the detachment, and there's movement out of the detachment. And you spoke that there's going to be 3 more recruits coming in by June, and we've just had, I believe, 3 or 4 new recruits come in. Is there a balance point within a detachment that there has to be certain number of years service? I'm not sure whether it's an average, and don't get me wrong, I think it's fantastic that we have these new recruits, but you know, the old saying is, when you're losing years of experience, you can't just, you can't just replace that. Now I'm curious overall with the OPP, is there some sort of average each detachment has to have for years of service?
No, there isn't. There's a different. There is a quite dated ratio of recruits to senior officers. I'm not even sure if it's still in play anymore. That was something from about 15 years ago that I looked at when I was posted in a northern duration with a high number of recruits at that point. But that wouldn't be anywhere in relation to the number of new recruits that we're having here. Across the board, we are seeing that we've had some slowdown in movement into specialty units over the past 2 years while we built up the front line. And now they've opened up those spots where they're taking, now the front line is essentially well staffed, and we do have a number of seasoned officers, they've opened up those specialty units and they're drawing from the front line. And that's where we're seeing a lot of our movement. It's not going to other detachments to do the same job. It's our officers that are going into those specialty units. We're also looking at getting a higher number of experienced officers into the organization and having those spread throughout across the entire province, specifically where they're needed to offset some of the junior officers that we're seeing. But I'm confident with the number of senior officers that we have here and their expertise that business will only improve here with the arrival of our new recruits.
Okay, that's all I need. Thank you for that. Now, and I know, Madam Chair, you kind of touched on this, speeding. If you look at some of the reports and the investigations, like some of these are I don't even know the word, ridiculous, incredible, 180 and 100, 137 and an 80, 133 and an 80. Some of these speeds are just atrocious. I'm curious, is this a problem across the province, across the country, or is this just something that unfortunately we're the chosen ones here in the county that we're getting these ridiculous speeds?
No, the numbers are consistent across the province.
Wow.
And when I put together the noteworthy incidents, I'm only drawing on a handful of specific incidents. I only report basically on the positives, but I'm not reporting on certainly all the major speeding incidents that we have, or I'm not reporting on any of the minor ones whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So it is a significant problem province-wide. And I mean, we're out there, we're hoping with the enhancement of our traffic officers that we can do our part to make the roads in the county as safe as we possibly can. And again, working with the county Safe Streets program.
Mm-hmm. I'll hear to that. One other, just a couple more here, Madam Chair, if I can. You talk about the officers received the training in the new electronic ticketing and warning issue system. What's the feedback from the officers?
Right now we have, I'll say 5 for sure, but it could be 6 that are trained. And they were the pilot project. Mm-hmm. This week they're going to phase 2 where they're doing their train the trainer training. So as of next week, they should start training all of the frontline officers. So far, the feedback has been excellent. They love it. It saves time. It tells them exactly where they are. I'm not trained in it myself. I've had the brief overview of it. Essentially, the computer tells them right where they are. It knows where they are. They just put in the speeds they want for the ticket to read, and it prints out all the warnings as well. So the big part is with those warnings, whereas if I pull you over on your way to work today and I give you a speeding ticket and a warning for not having your insurance card with you, another officer pulls you over tomorrow and they can see that warning for the insurance card, and mm-hmm. You'll probably see there might be enforcement action taken that second time, knowing that you were just warned for it recently.
Well, that's great. I'm glad the feedback is positive, because I think this is going to be huge, and it's going to a huge benefit to the officers too. So that's fantastic. One last one here, Madam Chair, I promise. We talk about patrols, foot patrols, car patrols. Again, I've spoken to this in the past. If I'm somebody from the public, like we get this as a police services board, we get this as council, we read the numbers, we can kind of hear the discussions that are going on as to potentially why they're down as they are. And I know I've brought this up to the inspector before. Is there any way that we can add to our reports that when the public sees that we are down 49%, that there is something in there that, I don't want to say justify, because that's going to be a hard sell to the public. They need to understand the rationale why we're down so much. All they see is, oh my God, we're down 49%. Not only are we down 49% I think it's 49% in February and 45% year to date. That's all they're going to catch on. We need to have some sort of meat in that report if we can, to try and help them understand why. It doesn't have to be answered now. It's just something that I'm seeing as a trend here. Hopefully, once we get these new recruits on, and the recruits that are without their trainers now, that changes. But again, when the public sees something that's down 49%, social media goes nuts, and we get the phone calls.
Some context around that, Councillor Pierce, like put it into context.
Yeah, again, like I say, if it's down 49%, because A, B, C, and we hope to rectify by C, D, E type thing, right? Just a little bit more around it, rather than just having a report that says, foot patrol and car patrol is down that much. That's all.
I think going forward, that's something that we can put somewhat of a rationale in there. I can tell you what some of the rationale for foot patrol is right now is that we have a number of members who really enjoy doing the foot patrol, meeting with the community, walking the downtown beat of Paris. I know it doesn't take an awful long time to do that walk, but one of those officers, who is one of the highest officers for performing foot patrol, is currently backfilling my spot while I backfill my supervisor's spot. So he's out of that frontline position now and unable to perform that. One of the other members was away in a temporary acting assignment outside of detachment. And again, they were the number 2 officer for conducting foot patrol. In the near future, once we have the recruits up and running and away from their coach officers, because right now the coach officers, they're focusing on the meat and potatoes of policing and getting the recruits all the tools in their toolbox so they can be effective. And once that's done, then we can get back to the focus, back to the foot patrol. I would rather see them concentrate right now on going over arrest and release procedures with the recruits rather than walking the beat. There's certainly unsaid importance to doing those foot patrols and keeping those hours up, but we have to look at where our long-term priorities are going to be. And that's what we're seeing in January and February with those coaching, as well as with the backfill off the front line. We should have those numbers stabilized with the officers returning to frontline duties in the near future, as well the recruits going out on their own, the coaches separating from the recruits, and that leaves 2 officers now to increase their foot patrol going forward. Hopefully that will clarify your answer. And going forward in the reports, I don't mind putting in rationale. I'll try and make it less wordy.
No, I appreciate that, and like I say, and with us here, we get the rationale within this report. I'm not sure how many folks are watching us online right now, but the majority of the people wouldn't be privy to that information before they already make their mind up that the OPP is not there. That's all. That's the picture that paints. So I'm just trying to get that out there. Thank you. That's it, Madam Chair. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Councillor Pierce. Always good questions. I think you sometimes ask questions that the rest of us were going to ask anyway, so it's all good. Member Brown, I think you had your hand up as well.
Yeah, 2 points, Madam Chair. To just add to Member Pierce's comments, this is something that we wanted addressed about a year and a half ago, and my understanding was the OPP was looking at the format of the reports that we were to receive, and we haven't been able to get together in the last year and a bit in a proper way to rehash that. But I'm not sure where your headquarters is at, Andrew, but I do think that it's something that we as a board need to address, that we can put forward, because that's some of the information that I think is vital to not just us, but to the county who pay the bills and the public. So I think it touches on some very salient points that need to be addressed, and we need more information with it as well, but we can touch base with that at a later date. You mentioned that you are putting expanding the community team from 2 to 3. Where is the 3rd person, or where's that 3rd position coming from?
What is the 3rd position, or where is the body filling that position coming from?
Yeah, we're not increasing the establishment at Brant County, so where is that position coming from within Brant County?
That position is coming from the position itself, which is the new one, is the school resource officer / youth officer, and that position is being filled with a member of the front line. The intent behind that is, with the role of the school and youth officer, they will actually be saving calls for service from the frontline members by engaging the youth at a pivotal time, as well as working with youth mental health strategies with our mobilization officer and our our mobile crisis rapid response team members. They'll be responding to incidents in the schools, so they'll also be performing a frontline role, however, not attached to a frontline platoon. I'm not sure if that clears it up for you or not.
Yeah, it does. So we are taking somebody from the front line to create a specialized position within the detachment.
Correct, with the intent that it will reduce pressures on the front line overall over time.
Okay. And then as far as vacancies go, we have 2 new ones due to transfers, and we have 3 that are going to be filled by the incoming recruits. Are there any other vacancies we have currently that have names attached to them that there still is a physical vacancy, but we know that there's somebody coming in with a PID or a probable implementation date in the future?
Right now, so we have 1 vacancy that has not been filled, and that is for the 1 member who left March 8th to go to a specialty unit. When we have our 2nd member leave within a couple of months, I don't have the exact transfer date for that member to another specialty unit. That will be our 2nd vacancy. We currently,
so there are no other vacancies where we have a name attached or somebody's coming in the future then, other than the 3 recruits?
just those 3 recruits coming in for those spots, and that's it as of now.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
So going back to my question then, and in combination with Councillor Pierce, the stunt driving and the crazy speeds that are happening, I mean, maybe the fines aren't severe enough, maybe there's no consequences for people's actions. We talked earlier in the pandemic about, you know, people are driving faster because there's less people on the road, but there's just as many people on the road now as there ever used to be. So that, you know, that's even more concerning that that's happening with all those cars on the road. You know, is it in what you're seeing, is it just a disrespect for the rules and regulations and these, because it's not just an age thing. Anything I've read in the media, it seems to be across all ages. It's not just a young person thing or what have you. You know, is there any initiatives that OPP or that we're aware of, that it's not just a Brant Safe Streets program? I guess I'm thinking larger, that this is only going to get worse if we don't clamp down on it and what you're doing, but the message clearly isn't getting through.
Yeah, it's as you said, Madam Chair, it's a problem that we're seeing against all genders, all age ranges, and that's a province-wide issue. Certainly the penalties are steep, and it appears to be a disregard. From reviewing all of these occurrences, especially with the excessive speeds, there has been nothing mentioned in any of the reports as to why. There was nobody rushing to a ill family member. There was nobody rushing themselves for urgent medical care. There's no actual rationale provided as to why they were traveling at such dangerous and high speeds. No rationale whatsoever. It seems to be a societal problem.
It's concerning because the trend is not, it's only grown, right? It's not decreasing. I would suspect that the penalties are not severe enough for it to keep happening. That's my personal opinion, but I guess the province has to figure out what they want to do about that. With the 3 positions, the community positions, so I'm lining up the people. So Constable Johnson was the media person / school resource officer. That's the position that you've split into 2 people then with the new appointments?
That's correct. Constable Johnson's returned to frontline policing now on the road, and then we've split that position so that it can give more justice to each of those. Although Constable Johnson did a fantastic job, there was so many different directions he was being pulled in with the schools, the high school, the safety village, the media, the community safety officer portion. We felt it best to divide those up and add in a 3rd person to that unit. And I think we will see the benefits very soon on the front line with the reduction in the number of calls the officers are dealing with in relation to youth in the community.
The other position then was that Constable Woodley then that had the other position? Okay.
Yes, she's also returned to a frontline platoon, and then that position remains relatively unchanged as the mobilization officer. However, the 3 of them working together in the unit itself are all able to play off of each other. All 3 of them are media trained, So in the absence of one, we can rely on one of the others to do those media releases, to attend those scenes in the middle of the night for unfortunate circumstances. And they're all very well versed as school officers as well. So, and working with the youth. So in the absence of, if Constable Gagnon is away on vacation for the week, away for training, one of the other two officers are able to step in and assist with that role in the schools, as well as performing their own duties.
Okay, yeah, and I haven't met any of the three people yet. Look forward to crossing paths with them at some point. I think it was Constable, is it Vitalis?
Vitalis.
Vitalis. His comments about the media and I really feel that's a strong, it correlates back to our PSB objectives as well in terms of communicating with the community. You know, his ability and continuing what Constable Johnson did, but, you know, really putting out there the work that's being done, the charges that are being laid, the stunt driving charges, whatever they are, you know, just continuing to use that social media platform and the communications platform, because you guys are busy and we want the community to know, you know, that. So I think I was encouraged to see his comments that he wants to continue to use those platforms to communicate. Because that's really dovetails into our objectives as a PSB. I'm sure council's objectives as well in terms of safe communities, your objectives of OPP. So just, I really want to encourage that emphasis on that and on that as well. Anything else for Acting Staff Sergeant Hampson? There, that wasn't so bad.
Well, that was more questions than he asked the inspector. But.
Yeah, maybe on purpose. So that's great. Thank you very much for the report. It's good to have the dialogue. I think we all appreciate the dialogue and the conversation to be able to fill in some of the questions. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
So seeing that, then in your package, there's also the false alarms report, which I think only has warnings on there to date. I don't know if there's any specific questions, but if there isn't any, we need a motion to receive both of these reports for information, please. Member Verhey and Mayor Bailey seconds, and all those in favor of that motion? Great, that's carried. Thanks so much, Andrew, for all that.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move into section 8 here. Communications. There's quite a few things here in our package. So the first one is the summary of the 2020 Provincial Offences Act payments and the monies that are flowing back to the county and the various accounting for that. I'm not sure if there's any specific discussion that needs to occur with that. It is what it is, I guess, and that comes back to the county in proportion. There's also the spring conference, the OAPSB, the Ontario Association of Police Services Board. I believe this was sent out by email, and so we added it to the agenda today. The early bird registration is March 31st, so Nancy is looking for feedback for those that may want to register. Jim and I attended 2 years ago when it was in person. Excellent opportunity, educational opportunity. And if any of us are interested in attending, the cost for registration is covered in our training budget that we have assigned to us. I know I would like to be registered. I'm not sure if there's others that would like Nancy to register for you. Member Brown?
I'm trying to confirm the time off work because I would like to go because I missed the last one.
Now it's virtual, so
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure that everybody knows that. So far we have Member Brown and myself committing. Councillor Pierce is going to confirm shortly with Nancy, and then Member Verhey and Mayor Bailey. At this time, you're not able to attend or not going to fit your schedule, I assume. Okay. Yes, Member Verhey.
Still looking into it a little bit, but that's a tough time for me with my business. It's literally my busiest time of year, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to commit to it, but I'll ponder that a little further.
Okay. Well, let's try and save some money. If we can get into the March 31st early bird deadline, the better. If not, if those that can't attend, Jim and I, and hopefully John can put together a summary for everybody that isn't able to attend. Nancy, you've got that, what you need so far then? Hi,
I do, thank you.
Okay, great. The next item on our agenda here is the letter from Mrs. Stone that was sent into us about community policing and the concerns that she's expressing. I think some of them are also maybe council specific concerns with respect to crosswalks and whatnot. But any discussion or any comments on this letter? Or I guess I have some questions. Maybe Sergeant Hampson can help us here. I had asked for community policing to be put on the agenda separately, just from my own local area perspective, because I wanted to understand. I know from Inspector Anderson that with the pandemic that obviously we shifted resources and the community policing groups were not able to meet in person like us. We were not able to meet in person. This is asking a whole bunch of things that I'm not sure the Police Service Board can speak to, but with relation to her concerns about the back and forth of the Paris group, I don't know if there's any insight, Sergeant Hampson, that you can provide, or
there's not really there's not really a lot of insight I can offer that reviewing that letter. I really can't speak to a number of the comments in there in regards to their role as a community policing group versus some sort of consultation that appears to be required between the community policing group and the detachment command, as well as the Police Services Board in relation to staffing decisions. We're not sure what equipment or supplies she also speaks to that require storage in the detachment, as we don't know what equipment or supplies they actually have as a community policing group. I've asked Constable Vitalis to reach out to her and see if he can gather some of that information from her so we can alleviate some of her concerns. The part in relation to the pedestrian crosswalk and the barn dance, that's something that would really best suited by the County Roads Department through Brant Safe Streets, as it's not a policing related matter whatsoever from our perspective. Certainly we'll enforce the rules related to the pedestrian crosswalks, but the decision and the engineering background as to why it was designed in that matter is completely beyond the control of us. I'm not sure if there's any other points to be addressed. Constable Vitalis is starting to meet with the community policing groups in the very near future. I believe he has a meeting set up with the St. George group in the next few days.
So I guess, you know, in response to Ms. Stone's concerns, like nobody's meeting in person. The council's not meeting in person. Police Services Board's not meeting in person. So to expect that the community policing group is going to be able to have use of the detachment building to be able to meet in person until such time that in-person meetings are permitted, I guess we're following county policy as well. So is there something we can reference back to not engaging in in-person meetings? I don't know. I understand her frustration. I did speak with her last fall on a number of different things that she called me about. She is concerned that she is the chair of the Paris Community Policing Group, and she feels that there's a disconnect for the communication that she feels should be there. I don't know specifically what those issues are. And I don't think that the police services, her last question there about do we value, of course we do. Of course we value community policing, the importance of the community policing groups and those efforts, but that doesn't preclude any of the the concerns that it has. Those are all specific. So Councillor Pierce, is there something we can do to reference or forward these concerns to council with specific to the crosswalk, or how do we handle the council specific concerns?
Yeah, I can bring that back to council. That's not a problem. I know Edith came in and she was kind of one of the drivers to change the crosswalks downtown and that. So I can definitely bring that information back to council as part of my report there. And if I can, Madam Chair, so I've known Edith for a long time, and she's very community oriented, and I get that. And as far as I was concerned, I thought the letter was pretty decently written until that last paragraph, when she starts underlining words of, you know, value and support. That to me kind of put a bitter taste in my mind to finish off that letter, which I don't think was appropriate. I don't think there's any question that we all value and support community policing. So as far as a couple things in there, and I agree, and Sergeant Hampson just stated today the fact that, you know, the police station itself is just reopened to the public. So I mean, as far as, you know, the meetings and stuff like that, if it's just reopened for the public as of today, then, you know, there's no way that there could have been meetings happening there, regardless of the point is, you know, in-person meetings are not happening in general over council and a lot of the boards. So I agree with your statements on that. What I would like to see though, and Sergeant Hampson, you were referring to Officer Vitalis was going to be meeting with the St. George community. Can you just let us know when he is planning to meet with the Paris folks and when he has made contact back with Mrs. Stone?
And that's why I put the community policing groups on the agenda as well. I don't know if we want to combine the two pieces here or not, but one of the things that we talked about, if you remember a year ago, was engagement of the Police Services Board with community policing to hear the concerns firsthand, to be able to understand what some of those were. I found out that there was a St. George meet via Zoom. It'll be by Zoom on Wednesday night in St. George. And I asked to attend just from that purpose alone, to listen, hear, whatever. That is being run by a volunteer here in St. George that's running that. And I believe they've invited Constable Vitalis to attend. On the agenda, they do review the stats report that's provided, the detachment commander's report that's provided, and different things like that. So I guess to that point, Councillor Pierce, I'm also asking the same question: is when are these meetings scheduled, so that we then as Police Services Board can send people to participate and listen, so we can hear the grassroots concerns of the community. So we know St. George is coming up. We don't know if Paris has anything scheduled. Certainly they can be meeting virtually as well, like everybody else has been. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. We only can get into the lobby of the detachment as well. Like, nobody can do anything right now to be safe. So
exactly.
Yeah, so I think there's two pieces there. We need to know, I guess, from whether it's from you, Staff Sergeant Hampson, or Constable Vitalis, or whomever. We need some kind of communication directly to the Police Services Board on when these meetings are organized, so that we can then delegate folks to attend. Because if I just happen to come across it on Facebook, it wasn't anything that I knew about. So if we're trying to do that, then I think there's got to be a way that we can connect that. So I'm hoping that can happen. But then back to Ms. Stone's concerns. Is there, I guess, is Constable Vitalis then the assigned person for the Paris Community Policing Group then, as well as St. George?
Yes,
Okay.
I will be in touch with him in the near future, and I will get the dates for future meetings, and I'll respond directly to you, Madam Chair, with those dates and what the means are going to be, whether it's a Skype or a Zoom or a Microsoft Teams. Those meetings are usually set up by the chair of each group, not by our members. But I'll be in touch with Constable Vitalis to ensure that we have those dates, and I'll send them off to you for further distribution.
Are those the only two active community policing groups right now in the county?
That I'm aware of, yes. I'm not sure what the movement for the Brantford one is, or if there's any flavor for the one in the Mount Pleasant area. I know there's a few citizens out there who expressed the desire to have one during the town hall meetings, but that was all about a year ago today.
Okay, so how does Police Service Board, so shall I respond to Ms. Stone with some feedback? Refer her some parts to council through you, Councilor Pierce? How would you guys like this communication addressed? Mayor Bailey?
Well, I've spoken to Edith about most of this stuff too before. I've known her since high school a long time, and you won't get anyone who's more committed to this than Edith is. When I was chair of the Police Services Board, I used to attend all the community meetings. So, and it was a very big group of people back then, and they got a lot of work done, and they worked very hard, and they had direct communication to the Police Services Board through me, and there was always an officer at the meetings too. So things were much bigger then, but they were also, there was no COVID, there was no, it was a big group of people. It was almost a social event, because it was nice to see so many people from Paris or whatever get together, and they always talked about lots of important things, and a lot of work got done with Edith at the Rain. So I think so many things have fractured and fragmented since then. A very big deal, which was back then, has just fractured off to sort of disconnect, I think. And I mean, I understand that the last paragraph, Councillor Pierce, isn't so cool, but I think it's out of sheer frustration.
Yep.
Edith is a good person and a wonderful worker. And I just think that there's been so many fractures in how it used to be for her that she's just terribly frustrated. So the things about the crosswalk and the barn dance and all of that, that's nothing to do with police services. That's a concern for some decisions we've made at council, and Councillor Pierce can bring it back to council, and we'll talk about it a little bit again. But I feel that the letter is, it is heartfelt, and we do have to get back to her in some way. She deserves that.
So I'd be prepared to prepare some feedback to her if that's the wish of the group here. I do agree with you, Mayor Bailey. It deserves it deserves a response.
Leave it in your capable hands, Madam Chair.
Sounds good. Okay, so then the last piece in the communication, unless there's anything else on Ms. Stone's letter. Sorry, Member Brown. No? Yes?
Sorry, I thought you were moving on, not to do with Ms. Stolman's letter.
Okay, so moving on to the last piece, it's a call for resolutions for the 2021 annual meeting for the OAPSB. And there's an outline there of how that's to work. I'm not sure if anybody would have a resolution or something that they want brought forward for the OAPSB to deal with, whether that's concerns that we have with Jim, your reporting and how vacancies are reported, or if that's a resolution matter, or is that an issue that all of us are facing in OPP, in terms of understanding that better. I don't know if anybody has anything specifically, but this is the process that we have to follow, and they need to be submitted. I don't know where they need to be submitted by. May 1st. If there's anything that we would have to bring forward. Member Brown, were you going to speak to that? Or
I was not going to speak to that. I was looking for the other business.
Okay, so let's on the communication pieces then. We need to have a motion to receive. Sorry, Mayor Bailey, are you making the motion?
I'm making the motion to receive. Yep.
Thank you. And we'll need a seconder to receive those. Councillor Pierce. Obviously, we'll follow up with Mrs. Stone on her piece, and the others are for information. So, Councillor Pierce?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. And if we could just, Mr. Mayor, I'll look for a friendly amendment here. If we can just put that into the motion, the fact that we receive and respond to Mrs. Stone on her letter, just so it's in the minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Member Brown?
Yeah, maybe the other business that I had discussed should be dealt with prior to doing that, because it also was in for our communication that was received.
But I'm not sure I think we still have to deal with it under business because not everybody's received it. So we'll still do it, but just maybe separately, if that's okay. So then all in favor of that amended motion? Okay, carried, thank you. So then number 9, community policing meetings. Staff Sergeant Hampson will forward us dates and times and whatnot, calendar, so that we can then ensure coverage for those. And obviously we're not doing the county-wide meetings that Inspector Anderson had originally planned to do until such time as we're out of this pandemic. So that's not on the table either. So I think we've dealt with the community policing meetings from my point of view, just making sure that was on the radar. And of course, I'll let you know if there's anything that I learn through the process. It'll be my first one that I attend on Wednesday here in St. George. So so then the next item then is Member Brown's point that he wants to raise a concern. I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I received an email from Councillor Miller, and it's fairly short, so I'll just read it. It's from Marcos Bordadaga. I have made calls to Brant OPP Division requesting more of a police presence in the downtown core of Brantford. Reason being is the frequent speeding of vehicles and transportation trucks, including vehicles doing burnouts at various intersections. I'm hoping you can help by requesting OPP conduct more frequent and speed enforcement in town. Any feedback or assistance would be greatly appreciated. Councillor Miller forwarded that on, and I apologize. I'll get Nancy to forward that off to you. I thought that it had been forwarded so that we would all have that. Councillor Miller asked if we could raise this at the next Police Services Board meeting, which I'm doing. After receiving this request from Councillor Miller, I had conversations with Inspector Anderson from the OPP and from Brant County concerning the Brant Safe Streets program. And my concern is that there may be a little bit of a misunderstanding between various stakeholders as to how the strategy is designed to work in concert with the OPP. And I think that it may be advantageous for us to confirm that everybody's on the same page, that we see the public get timely and efficient responses to their legitimate concerns. So I think it'd be beneficial for the OPP and Brant Safe Streets program personnel to meet in the near future to clarify their roles and strategies as well as the procedures. And then once we've got that ironed out so that everybody's on the same page, I think we need to communicate this to all stakeholders in a clear and concise and effective manner. I don't know, Sergeant Hampson, if Inspector Anderson passed on that to you. If you're prepared or not prepared, we can put it over to the next meeting. We've kind of pushed a little bit further beyond that we want to better it for all concerned. But were you aware of the speeding concerns there?
Not for that particular area, no. But from my understanding, the going through Brant Safe Streets would be the best course of action for that, for their follow-up with the speed spy devices and the data, the analytics, and then the reporting back to us for focus patrols. It's working well in other areas, the communication we have with Safe Streets and getting that data to us and setting up those patrols. I don't know why they were not engaged in this instance, or if they were, why the complainant is not pleased with that.
Through you, Madam Chair, I think that there is, I believe that the Brent Safe Streets program is working, but I do think that there is a need to very much clarify the rules and the procedures that are involved, because there is some confusion that's there, and I think we all could benefit from that. So I know that the county is prepared to meet, and I've got to assume Sergeant Hampson that the OPP would be as well, that maybe we could set up a meeting where they get together and we can just discuss some of the higher level issues there that appear apparent.
I'm certainly agreeable to that.
Sorry, Jim, set up a meeting between.
I think that it would be advisable for the OPP, Inspector Anderson and Michael Bradley, to get together and just ensure that the roles are what they need to be for this to properly work. So I think that between Sergeant Hampson and I guess it would be Nancy or Michael Bradley, they can reach out and they can set up a meeting so that this can happen with the appropriate parties involved.
Councillor Pierce?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering also, I see where you're going here, Member Brown, and I'm just wondering if it would be a good idea to potentially have the chair only of the community policing committees attend that meeting, or at least have some sort of report from that meeting sent to the chairs of the community police meetings, so they're aware of it as well. Just throw that out there for suggestion.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Member Pierce, I think that the communication, that was the last part of it, this needs to be communicated to all stakeholders, and that would include council, the board, the public, and the community participants as well.
Okay, perfect.
I do think that the first meeting needs to happen between the OPP and the county to ensure that they're on the same page. And then once that's been ironed out, then I think it can flow down. And I think that's probably the most important part of the process, is that we all need to be on the same page, and that needs to be communicated to us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think to follow up on that, Jim, like, I think for our own understanding, I mean, I would be interested in knowing that flow through as well, because I'm just trying to line up all the different pieces and reporting and who does what and who's supposed to go where, and how does something get actioned and followed up on, and there seems to be some moving parts here, and I just don't want, maybe it's to your point, Member Brown, I would not want to see a county resident's concerns get lost or shuffled because it has to go here or it has to go there, or it has to, everybody should still be taking that information in, and then internally, how do we manage that information and how do we work together with that information, rather than putting it here or putting it there. But again, I didn't realize perhaps maybe that the Brant Safe Streets program was as integral in terms of the data collection and that kind of stuff that OPP uses. So that's an education piece for me as well. So are you proposing a motion, Jim, or a direction, or I know you had some good language there that I didn't write down fast enough, but
I don't think we need a motion, Madam Chair. I think this is just direction, and we can communicate that. Sergeant Hampson can deal with that with the OPP, and we can reach out to Michael Bradley and ensure that the county interests are taken care of as well. I would imagine that, or it may be possible that the chair from the Police Services Board or Police Services Board member would be able to attend that meeting as well. But I think that there's some components to this that need to be polished so that we're getting the best and we can the maximum amount of benefit from the minimal effort. So if we could just maybe have a direction back to the county, and I don't know if that would be through Robin or if that would be through Nancy, or if we just contact Mr. Bradley and have that discussion with him.
So we can't tell anybody what to do. So I guess I'm kind of confused as to what that direction is. We can only advise.
So then back to you. I've had conversations with Mr. Bradley, so I would like to reach back to him and just follow up with what we've had here today, and put both him and the OPP together so that they can follow up on this. If that's okay with the board.
Mayor Bailey? No, you're good. Okay. Nancy, did you get all that captured then?
Yes, I can arrange a meeting between the inspector and Mr. Bradley, and we can discuss about having the chair of the board as well.
Okay. So no motion. So everybody's in agreement with that direction, I assume?
Makes sense.
Okay. Thanks, Jim, for bringing that forward. And the suggestion for the action items that follow for that. That's really great. Does that cover everything then, Member Brown? And your item? Okay. So let's go to number 10 then, section 10. Any updates from council to share, Councillor Pierce?
Not a lot to share for this meeting. I was hoping to get something from the inspector in regards to the new recruits for the traffic area and what's going to be set up in there. So that'll have to wait till the next meeting, but no, there's not a lot to bring forward. Anything the committee would like me to take back other than what I'm already taking back?
You've got a good list so far. Anything else for Councillor Pierce to take back? I think we're good. All right. Marty has had to leave the meeting, so I'm not sure that we have any additional things on zone 4 to talk about. The community safety and well-being, like you, Councillor Pierce, I was hoping to have more information to be able to bring to you today as well. I reported at the last meeting that we're waiting for the community engagement piece to go out. It, to my knowledge, has not gone out yet. I don't know, we're still waiting. I don't know if they're still waiting on university internal approvals or what have you. I guess I'll voice my concern here to this group again, that the timelines are very short to get this report done and completed by. July 1st is, gosh, it's on our doorstep, and there's a ton of work that needs to get done to meet those timelines. And perhaps staff is working on that, but as a committee, we are not engaged in that work. So I don't know if we're dependent on waiting for the survey to get out and the results to come back in before we take our next steps. So anyways, I would express concern about being able to meet the timeline and having a fulsome, community safety and well-being plan in place for that deadline. I do think that they were going to look into an extension, but I don't know where that is either. So we haven't
sorry, Madam Chair, through you, I thought the extension was to July.
So with the pandemic, they extended it to an unknown date.
Oh, okay.
And then late December, they came out and said, okay, yeah, now they're due July 1st.
Okay.
So that is the extension, but I think all along, everybody, we weren't meeting with the restrictions with staff resources and county priorities, not meet until November, December, and then we met one more time here in the new year. But to my knowledge, there hasn't been any research done with the community in terms of priorities or what have you. So I'm just expressing concern that the timelines are very short to try and get this done, and perhaps a little unrealistic of the Solicitor General's office to expect that all of a sudden everybody's going to be able to turn the switch back on after being on hiatus for quite some time, but I don't know where they're going to go with that. Robin, I see you turning on your camera. Was there something that you wanted to add to that?
Through you, Madam Chair, I just had a question. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something with this community safety and well-being plan and the survey. And you talked about staff working on it. I just wondered which staff are working on it. Because if this is something I'm supposed to be doing, I'm not aware.
I think you're good. My understanding is it's Jake And the person that was hired under our Inspector Anderson was able to attract some funding, and the person that was hired was Emily, and they're working on that. So you're off the hook. It's
Okay.
Emily that, and Cindy, I guess, is the oversight of all that at the end of the day.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't have anything else to add to that, unless there's anything you want me to take back to that committee from the Police Services Board. And I don't have anything additional to give you as a chair's update. There's obviously lots going on that we are trying to engage in. I'm glad to hear that the doors are open to the detachment. I had to go over with my daughter for a criminal check, and everybody has cell phones now, but to be able to dial in, wait, all that kind of stuff. Just as a completely, Sergeant Hampson, just as a completely separate, it's an operational detail, but the sign that says visitors turn in here to the detachment, you missed that real quick. And I was thinking to go to the second driveway, because the first driveway, the way it's bent, it looks like it's an out only thing. And yet the sign says visitors come in here. I don't know if that's an issue that needs to be figured out, but you really don't see that sign. And I'm sure you've heard that from other people too.
Yes, we've raised that concern ourselves, along with another issue with the parking where it says police vehicles only, which is written in white paint on the ground, which as soon as the snow fell, everyone couldn't see it. We are working both with the county and through our OPP facilities to get the signing corrected. There's just a little bit of a battle going on, not really a battle, but they're working through some consistency with the font, the actual lettering, the color of the background, so that every detachment in the province will have the same signage. But yeah, it is definitely a problem that we are aware of.
So it's not just me then. That's good to hear. And then I don't think that we had 2020 priors, but we never really updated them for 2021. I'm not sure if there's any appetite for that at this point today, but at some point, either we continue with our priorities that we set for ourselves a year ago as additional 2021, but we should give that some thought at a future time. We do have some correspondence that requires us to go into in-camera, but before we do that, is there any other from Sergeant Hampson or others, is there any other matters that should be included in the in-camera session? None? Okay. So we do need to go in camera, and we do need to do the motion to go in camera. We also need to do the oath of confidentiality that's required. Nancy reminded me. Nancy, do we do that after the motion to go in camera?
Yes, we'll go in camera first. We're just going to stop the video feed. So I just need a motion to go in camera in a second.
Okay, so Mayor Bailey, motion, seconder by Councillor Pierce.
Battling, and we're not at such loggerheads that it becomes it starts to hamper the abilities for us to get business done. So as long as we're all aware of that.
Mm-hmm. Nancy, are you ready?
We are live now, Jen.
Okay. So so at this time we need a motion to receive for information. Someone help me with whatever that motion is going to sound like or be worded such as. Councillor Pierce?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I'll just put a motion on that we receive the in-camera report as written.
Thank you. So eloquently stated. Thank you. Member Brown, you'll second that? Thank you.
I felt the team vibes. They were all here.
All those in favor? I truly appreciate the team effort, because it takes a team sometimes to get things done, as Mayor Bailey said. So good people do good work. Okay, great. Then our next meeting is April 20th, Tuesday, April 20th, again, virtually. I'm not sure, Council, you haven't probably made any decisions yet on the path forward. So until told otherwise, we meet virtually. So that's the 20th of April. And I think Inspector Anderson has some tabled items from today that she'll bring forward to the April meeting as well. Anything else before we adjourn?
Have a great day.
Okay, so motion to adjourn, please. Member Brown, thank you. Have a great rest of the Tuesday, everybody.
Bye-bye.